During a routine patrol in a local shopping center, Officer Daniels made a heart-wrenching discovery. In the far corner of the parking lot, he found a 3-year-old girl sitting alone, almost invisible amidst all the parked cars. Concerned, he approached her gently, kneeling down to her level to ask why she was there all alone. The little girl, with tears welling up in her eyes, looked up at Officer Daniels and uttered a sentence that sent a chill through him. She whispered, "Mom doesn't want me home." Officer Daniels's eyes widened as he heard what the little girl said. No, this couldn't be right. She was way too young to have been kicked out of her home. What kind of parents would do such a thing? This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. The girl probably had no idea what she was even saying. Her parents had to be here somewhere. Officer Daniels decided to stay with the girl and keep her safe until her parents found her. They were probably worried sick and looking for her all over the place. "My name is Jason." "What is your name?" he asked the girl, hoping that he could get some information out of her if he earned her trust. "Ella," she replied shyly. "Wow, what a beautiful name," Jason said, and a smile appeared on the little girl's face. "Ella, let's go look for your parents. Do you know where they are?" he asked, and the smile immediately disappeared from her face again. "No, Mommy doesn't want me," she said again, and Jason raised an eyebrow in confusion. He didn't want to upset Ella any further, but he was getting slightly worried now. What if she really was out here all by herself? However, he quickly shook his head and told himself that that couldn't be what was going on. Her parents were here somewhere, and he was determined to find them. "Let's go take a walk, okay?" He reached out his hand for Ella to take it, and together they walked into the shopping center. He took her to the control room and explained the situation to the information officer who was on duty. The officer made an announcement about Ella being lost and requested her parents to come to the information center right away. "Don't worry, I'm sure they'll be right here." Upon hearing this, Ella's face fell, and she repeated again, "No, Mommy doesn't want me." Jason and the information officer exchanged worried glances, unsure of what to do. They decided to wait there a bit longer, and the officer repeated the announcement another time. However, no one showed up. Besides, the security cameras only showed empty corridors. The shopping center was about to close. "Ella, should we play a game?" Jason asked her. "The first one to see a yellow car wins." The little girl's eyes lit up, and she nodded, letting out a soft giggle. This was the perfect way to get her back to the parking lot without having to mention her parents again, Jason thought. It seemed to upset her every time they did that. Jason thanked the information officer, and he and Ella made their way outside again. There were even fewer cars in the parking lot than before, seeing as all the visitors of the mall had gone home, and to Ella's disappointment, none of them were yellow. Jason was disappointed as well, but for a different reason. He couldn't believe that nobody had come looking for this little girl. He glanced at Ella, who was still looking around, trying to spot a yellow car, and he wondered what he should do. He didn't want to upset her by asking more questions about her family or her home, but he couldn't just leave her there. In the end, he decided to take her to the police station with him. He'd think of a plan there. "It looks like there aren't any yellow cars here. Do you want to come with me and look somewhere else?" he asked her, and Ella nodded. Now that Jason took a closer look at her, he noticed some strange things. Her hair was a mess, uncombed and full of knots, and her clothes and hands were dirty as well. He had no idea what was going on, but one thing was clear. There was something strange about this whole situation. Luckily, he was able to distract Ella, and she seemed to actually enjoy counting all the yellow cars that they came across on their way to the station. Once they arrived there, one of Jason's colleagues, Michelle, was already waiting for them outside. Jason didn't have any kids, but Michelle did, and he thought Ella might feel more comfortable with a woman too. Michelle also happened to keep some of her daughter's plush toys in her office, and as soon as Ella heard about those, she was really excited to see them. So, Michelle cared for Ella, as Jason tried to track down her parents. He really needed to find them. He checked every database and looked into all the missing person reports, but he found nothing useful. He realized that this was going to be more difficult than he expected, but he was determined to find this little girl's parents. Jason was already thinking of a plan of action when Michelle approached his desk with a worried look on her face. "Did you find anything yet?" she asked, but Jason shook his head. She let out a deep sigh as she looked at him and told him that Ella needed serious help. "I think she's been living on the streets for quite some time now. She won't tell me anything about her parents, except that they don't want her home. Something's wrong." Jason's eyes widened upon hearing this, and he felt the anger slowly boiling up inside him. How could anyone kick out such a sweet little girl and leave her out on the cold, dark streets all alone? He thanked Michelle and asked her to spend some more time with Ella. She might open up eventually. In the meantime, he would continue his own search. In the dimly lit security room, Officer Jason Daniels scrutinized the footage that the shopping mall officer had shared with them. The screen flickered as he watched a nondescript car enter the frame, halting in the parking lot. It was here the little girl, Ella, was left alone. The car's presence seemed ominous, a silent prelude to the mystery unfolding before him. Jason noted the car's license plate, a potential lead in this puzzling case. With determined keystrokes, he entered the numbers into the database. The screen blinked, then displayed a disheartening message: "No match found." The car, like a ghost, left no trace in the system, deepening the mystery surrounding Ella's arrival. Puzzled, Jason leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. The car's link to Ella was undeniable, yet its origins remained shrouded in secrecy. What was its role in this situation? Was it simply a passerby, or did it hold the key to understanding why Ella was left in that cold, desolate parking lot? Determination set in Jason's eyes as he stood up from the desk. It was clear that conventional methods wouldn't suffice. He needed to dive deeper, to follow the scant clues he had. With a new resolve, Jason decided to extend his search beyond the screens and databases into the real world where Ella's story began. Returning to the footage, Jason squinted, seeking any overlooked detail. As the grainy images played, he looked for anomalies, for signs of human interaction with Ella. Each frame held potential clues, hidden in the shadows of that fateful day. Jason knew that somewhere in these silent images lay the answers he so desperately sought. Jason stepped out into the bustling streets surrounding the shopping center. He approached passers-by and shopkeepers, showing Ella's picture, asking if anyone recognized her. Their faces reflected a mixture of curiosity and concern, but no one could offer any substantial information about the little girl who had suddenly become the center of a deepening mystery. In a small cafe, just a block from the shopping center, the owner paused upon seeing Ella's photo. "Yes, I've seen her," he said, his voice tinged with unease. "She often wandered around here late at night, always alone." His words sent a shiver down Jason's spine, painting a picture of Ella's loneliness in the silent night. This new information weighed heavily on Jason's mind. Ella wandering alone at night? It wasn't just a case of a lost child anymore. The stakes were higher, the danger more real. He felt a surge of protective instinct, coupled with a growing anxiety about what Ella might have faced in those quiet, dark hours. Other shopkeepers provided mixed accounts. Some remembered seeing a girl resembling Ella, playing by herself at odd hours. None knew her by name, nor did they know anything about her parents. Their stories were fragments, echoes of a child seen but not known, adding layers to the enigma that surrounded her. As Jason continued his inquiries, he realized that Ella was a familiar face to many. People recognized her, yet she remained an outsider to them, an unknown child in their midst. Their recognition was devoid of any personal connection, a stark reminder of how little was actually known about Ella's life and background. Back at the police station, Ella's demeanor began to change subtly. In the presence of Jason and Michelle, her initial apprehension slowly gave way to a cautious comfort. With each gentle conversation and every small act of kindness shown to her, Ella's trust began to emerge, blossoming in the safety and warmth of the station's environment. During a moment of calm at the station, Ella's voice broke the silence. "There was a big house with blue doors," she said softly, her eyes looking into the distance. She tried to recall more, her brow furrowing in concentration, struggling to piece together the fragmented memories. This small, yet vivid detail opened a new avenue in Jason's search, a tangible clue in the midst of swirling uncertainty. As Ella grew more comfortable in the station, she began to share more about her personal likes. Her face lit up with joy when she talked about her favorite toys, a ragged teddy bear and a set of bright, colorful blocks. These glimpses into her likes and dislikes brought her personality into a clearer, sharper focus, painting a fuller, more vivid picture of the child she was. As the days passed, Jason found himself increasingly invested in Ella's well-being. Observing her gradual transformation from a scared, lonely child into a more open and trusting little girl, he felt a deepening sense of responsibility and connection. It was an unspoken bond, growing stronger with each passing day, compelling him to do everything in his power to help her. Each fragment of memory that Ella shared was like a small, precious piece of a larger puzzle. Jason and Michelle worked patiently, piecing together these snippets of Ella's past. It was a slow and meticulous process, but with each new piece added, they were gradually drawing closer to understanding the complex, mysterious circumstances that had brought Ella into their lives. Fueled by Ella's words, Jason embarked on a quest to locate the house with blue doors. He combed through the neglected corners of the town, his eyes searching for that distinctive hue. The task felt like looking for a needle in a haystack, but the thought of unraveling Ella's past spurred him on, driving him through the winding, forgotten streets. In a forlorn part of town, Jason's perseverance paid off. There it stood, the house with blue doors, as Ella had described. But it was not the warm, welcoming place he had hoped to find. The house was deserted, windows boarded up, the garden overgrown. A palpable sense of abandonment hung over it, as if the house itself was a forgotten memory.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
The silence within the walls of the empty house was profound. As Jason stepped inside, he could almost hear the faint echoes of a once-lived life. Each room told a story of neglect, the peeling paint and dusty surfaces speaking volumes of the life that had once filled these spaces, now so starkly silent and desolate. Wandering through the rooms, Jason was struck by the haunting emptiness that pervaded the house. The absence of laughter, warmth, and life was palpable. Each empty room seemed to hold a breath, a pause in a story abruptly halted. The stillness weighed heavily on him, filling him with a profound sense of loss and melancholy. This desolate house, with its blue doors now faded and chipped, left Jason with more questions than answers. What had happened here? Why had this place, once presumably filled with the laughter and love of a family, been reduced to such a state of neglect? The discovery of this house only deepened the mystery surrounding Ella's past. In a dusty corner of the abandoned house, Jason stumbled upon a box of old photographs. They depicted Ella, easily recognizable even as a younger child, alongside two adults who he presumed were her parents. Their smiles, frozen in time, contrasted starkly with the current desolation. These photographs were poignant reminders of happier times, now seemingly lost forever. As Jason explored further, he noticed signs of a hasty departure. A half-empty cup of coffee, clothes scattered in disarray, and a child's toy left abandoned mid-play. It was as if the family had left in a rush, leaving behind a snapshot of their life interrupted. This sudden exit hinted at a story of urgency and perhaps desperation. Each room in the house told a different story of Ella's life before she was found in the parking lot. The walls, now peeling and faded, must have once echoed with laughter and life. Dust-covered toys and small clothes littered the rooms, each item a silent testament to the child who once lived there, played there, and called it home. The dilapidated state of the house mirrored the turmoil that must have engulfed Ella's family. Broken furniture, cracked picture frames, and the overall disrepair spoke of decline and distress. It was a tangible representation of a family's broken dreams and struggles, an environment from which Ella had emerged, her past shrouded in the shadows of these walls. Jason carefully sifted through the remnants of the abandoned home, each object potentially a clue to understanding Ella's past. Old bills, scattered personal items, and scribbled notes. Every piece hinted at the life that once thrived in this now silent space. In the quiet of the abandoned rooms, Jason felt closer to unraveling the mystery of Ella's story. Jason decided to approach the neighbors, hoping to glean more about Ella's family. Hesitant at first, they eventually shared snippets of information. The family, they recalled, was often seen struggling, both financially and in their interactions. Their stories painted a picture of a family grappling with issues that seemed to go far beyond the normal challenges of daily life. The more Jason heard from the neighbors, the more the picture of Ella's family situation began to take shape. Whispers of financial woes and a deepening isolation were common threads in their narratives. Some neighbors even speculated that the family had left town, perhaps to escape the mounting pressures that had become too much to bear. As the day waned, Jason sat in his office, reflecting on everything he had learned. He made a silent vow to himself to do whatever it took to ensure Ella's safety and happiness. This wasn't just a case to him anymore, it was a personal mission, a promise made to a child who had already faced too much for her tender age. Jason felt a turmoil of emotions as he thought about Ella. There was a profound sense of connection and responsibility that he couldn't shake off. His role as a police officer had brought many cases his way, but none had touched him quite like this. Ella's vulnerability and resilience had etched themselves deep into his heart, fueling his resolve to help her. The rumors of the parents' sudden departure left Jason with more questions than answers. What had driven them to such a drastic step? Was there more to their story than the financial and social struggles the neighbors spoke of? These shadows of the past loomed large, making the mystery of Ella's situation even more complex and heart-wrenching. In the midst of his exploration, Jason stumbled upon an unexpected discovery: a hidden room. Tucked away behind a movable bookcase, this secret space seemed untouched by time, a stark contrast to the rest of the house. As he entered, A sense of intrigue and unease washed over him, sensing that this room might hold key insights into Ella's family history. Inside the hidden room, Jason found a trove of old letters. They were penned with a sense of urgency and fear. The most striking were those that hinted at Ella's mother's growing concerns for her daughter's safety. These letters, filled with a mother's love and fear, offered a glimpse into the turmoil that must have engulfed their lives. Despite the revelations, the whereabouts of Ella's parents remained shrouded in mystery. The letters provided no clear answers, only deepening the enigma. Jason felt a mix of frustration and determination as he realized that finding out what happened to Ella's parents was crucial to understanding her story and ensuring her future safety and well-being. The letters painted a picture of a mother fraught with anxiety, desperately trying to shield her child from unseen dangers. Her words were laced with a palpable fear, indicating a situation that was spiraling out of control. These heartfelt letters revealed a mother's fierce instinct to protect her child, even in the face of her own unspoken fears. Amidst the letters, Jason also found a collection of old, dusty documents. These papers shed light on the family's history of financial struggles and social challenges. They told a story of a family trying to hold together against increasing odds, providing valuable context to the family's situation and adding layers to the complex puzzle of Ella's past. Jason's next step led him to the dusty old mailbox outside the abandoned house. He methodically examined each piece of mail, noting down the senders. Amongst the usual bills and junk mail, he searched for any correspondence that might offer further insight into the family's sudden disappearance and Ella's current predicament. Among the assorted mail, Jason discovered several letters from a local women's shelter. This finding piqued his interest. It was a tangible link to a support network for women and children in distress. The shelter's involvement suggested that Ella's mother had sought help, indicating deeper issues within the family that had remained hidden until now. The letters from the shelter were revealing. They were a mix of formal correspondence and personal pleas for assistance. It became evident that Ella's mother had been in contact with the shelter, desperately seeking help and advice. She wrote that she was ill and couldn't care for Ella by herself anymore. The tone of these letters conveyed a sense of urgency and fear, a mother's cry for help in protecting her child. Determined to unearth more details, Jason decided to visit the women's shelter in person. He hoped that the staff there could provide additional context to the letters and shed light on the family's struggles. It was a crucial lead, and he felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension about what he might uncover. As he drove to the shelter, Jason was filled with a combination of hope and trepidation. He hoped that the shelter could offer more clues about Ella's mother's circumstances and perhaps even provide information on her current whereabouts. The uncertainty of what he might find lingered in his mind, but he remained resolute in his quest for answers. Upon arriving at the shelter, Jason braced himself for difficult conversations. The staff, sympathetic to his cause, shared the sad truth about Ella's mother. She had sought refuge there, overwhelmed by her circumstances. Their revelation painted a picture of a woman struggling against insurmountable odds, trying to find a safe haven for herself and her daughter. The most heartbreaking revelation came when Jason learned about the fate of Ella's mother. The shelter staff informed him that she had passed away due to a severe illness. This news hit Jason hard, as he realized the depth of despair Ella's mother must have faced, fighting a battle she ultimately couldn't win, leaving Ella alone in the world. Staff members recounted the painful decision Ella's mother had made. With her health deteriorating and options running out, she left Ella in the parking lot of the shopping center, hoping someone would find her and give her a better future. It was a desperate, last-resort decision by a mother who saw no other way to ensure her daughter's safety. During his visit, Jason also inquired about Ella's father. The shelter staff had little information, but what they knew wasn't promising. They believed he had been involved in illegal activities and had disappeared. This revelation added another layer of complexity to the case, shedding light on why Ella's mother might have felt so desperately alone in her struggles. The stark reality of Ella's abandonment became painfully clear to Jason. Left alone in the world first by her mother's tragic demise, and then by her father's absence, Ella's journey was one of profound loneliness and vulnerability. The weight of this realization settled heavily on Jason, reinforcing his commitment to ensure a better, safer future for Ella. After much contemplation, Jason made a heartfelt decision. Moved by Ella's story and the bond they had formed, he chose to become her foster parent. It was a decision driven not just by duty, but by a deep sense of care and connection. Jason knew this was more than a professional commitment. It was a personal pledge to provide Ella with the loving home she deserved. Jason embarked on the journey through the foster care system's complexities. It was a maze of paperwork, legal requirements, and meetings. Despite the challenges, he remained determined. Every form filled, every meeting attended, brought him one step closer to officially providing Ella with the stability and love of a family she had been so tragically denied. In a twist of fate, a chance encounter led Jason to discover Ella's maternal grandparents. They had been searching for Ella since her mother's disappearance. This discovery opened the door to a part of Ella's family that she had never known, a link to her mother and her heritage that had been missing from her life. The meeting between Ella and her grandparents was an emotional watershed. For Ella, it was the discovery of a family she didn't know she had. For her grandparents, it was the end of a painful, uncertain search. Tears were shed, stories were shared, and a new family bond began to form, filling a void in Ella's life with newfound love and connection. The story culminates with Jason, now Ella's godfather, reflecting on their journey. He thought about the profound impact Ella had on his life, transforming him in ways he never anticipated. His journey with Ella was one of compassion, challenge, and ultimately, love. It was a testament to the unexpected paths life can take and the transformative power of caring for another.